Hey guys, what's up? It's EuroFight here, and today I'm playing Battlefield 3. I did upload a Battlefield 3 video the other day, so if you haven't watched that, it's just basically me saying I'm still alive. I know I haven't uploaded the video in ages, so yeah, this is one of the ones that I wanted to upload. Yeah, today I'm going to talk about next-gen consoles, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I watched the reveal for the Xbox One, and I'm sure a lot of you guys did too. And to be honest, I wasn't actually very impressed with the reveal. I'm not sure about the Xbox as a next-gen console. There are a lot of rumours and a lot of things that are still to be confirmed, so hopefully at E3 we'll get a lot more information about the Xbox and the PlayStation 4. As far as specs go, we currently know that both of them have Blu-ray drives, Blu-ray DVD drives. Both of them have 8GB of RAM, but the PlayStation does have GDDR5, which is faster RAM than the Xbox One. And as far as CPUs go, both of them are using a custom AMD APU. So, as far as specs go, they're fairly similar. But Xbox actually runs two operating systems, or three actually. One of them just acts in between the two other operating systems, Xbox and Windows. So, one of the points of that is that essentially you can have the responsiveness of Windows and the kind of adaptability of Windows, as well as the gaming potential of the Xbox OS. Now, PlayStation's just stuck with one OS, which, well, that's fine by me because I'd only be using it for gaming anyway, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will be too. But Xbox is more marketed as a media kind of centre instead of a actual games console. And you've seen that with Microsoft's current Xbox 360 as well. They've kind of changed over the years as it becomes less capable as a gaming device. They've actually adapted it and they've used it more as a kind of media device. They've added a lot of things like Netflix and YouTube and things onto it, and they've obviously done a load of dash updates as well to assist them with that. And I think that is good for what the Xbox 360 is. It's an older system. It has got kind of less and less capable over the years. But I think for a new console that's coming out that's using really high-end hardware, I'm not sure they're doing the right thing with by marketing it as a media center. I mean, the chances are it's going to cost significantly more than your average TiVo box or whatever you've got at home. And I think that people are less likely to pay for a media system than they are a gaming system. I mean, they've got a lot of very nice franchises that are like Xbox exclusives, for example, Forza and Halo, to name a few. But I think that they're marketing it too far. They're forgetting where their roots are, I think, with the Xbox. PlayStation, I think less so. I think they're marketing it as more of a gaming system, which I think is good. But so currently I have a 360. I don't have a PlayStation 3, but I think for next gen, based on the info that we currently have, I'll probably be going for the PlayStation 4. Mainly because of the fact that it is the memory is obviously slightly better, and it's marketed as a game system, which is what it's meant to be. It's not trying to be something that it's not, like the Xbox is, in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you have different opinions of that, and yeah, please feel free to voice your opinions in the comments, and I'll try and look through them and reply to them as you wish, kind of. So the PlayStation 4, don't know about the storage capabilities. Hopefully we'll get a decent hard disk in it, maybe 500GB or 1TB for all the next gen games that will be coming out on the systems. Xbox, we know 500GB, which isn't bad. Xbox has also got external storage capabilities via USB, which is always good, always useful to have. One thing that we haven't really heard about from either of them is playing with used games. There are a lot of rumours about the Xbox having no used game support, or them Microsoft charging for use of used games on the system. We haven't heard so much from Sony about the PlayStation as far as that goes, so we're not sure about that, so you can't really compare that at the moment. But personally, I think used games are something that the console market has over the PC market. I mean, games that come out on PC, very rarely do you get used game support. often even more so with the growth of like digital distribution platforms like Steam or Origin or whatever you use. So I think it is kind of important that they think about this when they release new consoles, because admittedly, yes, obviously the game developers don't get money from used games, and I think EA, even though they've kind of backtracked on that in the past couple of days, with the online passes, EA did charge for online passes, and that annoyed a lot of people, because used games, you know, you buy a game, you play it, and then you sell it on, things like that. And obviously you're charged for using the online service, but you can play the base game, which I think is a good way to go about it. So Microsoft, well, maybe if it is a used game, then maybe you might have to pay twice. Essentially, that's what they're saying. You might have to pay a small activation charge on your Xbox to play a used game, and that's all well and good until, if, for example, I load my friends' games and my friends load me games, I just play through them, see if I want them, and if I like them, I might buy it. But the thing is, if they charged for activating the game on your Xbox, it would presumably deactivate the game on the other Xbox. Because of this, that would kind of mean that if someone loans you a game, then they have to pay to reactivate it on their system, which isn't necessarily fair. So if you're just trying out a game, or you just want to borrow a game from a friend, you won't be able to do that so much. That's my main kind of disadvantage with having the used game, charging for used games. But another thing that about games is with the next gen consoles, when you buy a game, then the chances are it'll be off the online system. Online system, for example, PlayStation, PlayStation Store, and Microsoft Xbox, the new revamped version of the Xbox Live. One thing Microsoft has done, Microsoft made sure that you could transfer your progress from the current version of Xbox Live onto the new Xbox Live, which I think is good. But another thing about used games, I think the EU ruled, I think over here in the UK, I think the EU ruled that people can resell games off digital distribution platforms. Now, whether they will actually abide by that, and whether they will apply that in their software, I do not know. But I think because a game that you purchase through the digital distribution platform should be the same as exactly if you buy the box, because you're still paying the same amount. You're still paying the same amount for it, and I think you should be able to do that. So I think that's something that they've got to think about with the next gen consoles. As far as USB goes, both of them have USB 3, which is obviously a good thing. Unlike the Wii U, which is the other kind of, he's kind of taken a back row. Nintendo's taken a back row on the Wii U, kind of the sequel to the original Wii. And you know, that has USB 2.0, but it was released last year, and these consoles are being released this year. But yeah, both of them support USB 3.0, so again, they're pretty much drawing as far as that's concerned. Xbox will have live streaming built into the software, but the PlayStation will, and the Xbox we're not sure about yet. Hopefully they will. I personally enjoy streaming things like on Twitch and things like that. I think it is really a fun thing to do, and I think it's nice that they're incorporating it into the software. Both of them have integrated Wi-Fi, which I think is good. I think pretty much the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox have that as well, so it's nothing new, but it is nice to have. And the PlayStation's also going to have Bluetooth connectivity, which I think is quite good actually. I think it's useful to connect different devices onto your console. Whereas the Xbox, it won't have Bluetooth, but it may be able to connect to things like the Microsoft Surface and things like that for Microsoft Glass thingy-majig. I can't even remember it myself. But another thing that is important in games, obviously next-gen outputs. For example, the original Xbox, that didn't have HD support over HDMI, whereas they released the revamped versions, and even when the Xbox was originally released, the Xbox wasn't HD was not the standard for things like TVs and things like that. Now it is, and I think it's good that both of the manufacturers are forward-looking and applying 4K output, which I'm thinking will be coming along in the near future when everyone gets 4K resolution TVs and things like that. It is useful to have, and I think that's great that they have done that. We're not sure about the pricing on either of the consoles yet, or their release dates, but hopefully in the near future they will release more information about that. I think Microsoft was fairly accurate when they said later this year in their Xbox One reveal. Another thing that I noticed in the Xbox One reveal, I obviously didn't watch the PlayStation, so I can't really talk about that, can't really give a fair balance, but I think on IGN they had a poll and they voted that the PlayStation 4 reveal was better, so I've got to watch that sometime. But commenting on the Xbox One reveal, I think the way they've done things with things like the easy switching between TV and things like that, it's entirely voice activated. I can't remember who was on stage at that time, but he mentioned that it was seamless and how quick it was. I don't think it was. When I looked back through it, you had like a 1.5 second delay between switching between TV, games and things like that. And I think they've got to really cut that down, because essentially when you're playing a game and you want to flick between something else, then you want that to be instant. You don't want to be waiting about a couple of seconds for it to actually load. And whether that will be impacted by how much of the system resources are in use, for example at the later in the console's life, I think that it's going to be games and things like that and apps are going to be using more and more of the system resources, and if it's giving a 1.5 second gap even now with current gen, what's going to happen when we load the systems up with more and more graphically intensive and resource intensive apps and games? What's going to happen then to those wait times? So I think Microsoft have really got to perfect that and work out a way of switching very easily. Another thing I noticed about the Xbox One, it's got to be online at least once a day, and a lot of people will obviously keep it online all the time. The risk, I think, of privacy, one thing that's in particular about it is the privacy. You're having a microphone, a camera on in your living room all the time. Even obviously people have that with their PCs and things, but it's not always on. The Xbox and PlayStation will be pretty much always on. So because obviously it runs the Windows kernel on the operating system, will that be vulnerable to things like viruses and spyware and things like that, and malware that's installed on Windows systems? If it is, then the vulnerabilities are that a hacker or someone like that could get into the actual system and be constantly watching you through your living room. You don't want that. The vulnerabilities, for example, it can be in your living room, they can see when you're out. When you're out, you never know what can happen, and things like that. You have got to think about the privacy. Will Microsoft be releasing a antivirus software for it? I mean, that's going to be really important, with obviously all of these apps and things that can be transferred onto the Xbox. Will that be will they be able to get into the system? And if they are able to get into the system, then who knows what could happen. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about regarding the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. If you have any comments, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.